This is Markin Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Follow on Twitter. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Marking Out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. Brennan likes fisting. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. We marking out, y'all. We're marking out. Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new episode of Markin Out, Pro Wrestling Talk by Pro Wrestling fans. Streaming on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify Podcasts, MarkinOut.com, YouTube. I am one of your hosts, Brandon. You can follow me on Twitter at BTTG161. I'm doing awesome as always. You can follow Chris at Chris Sweendog and CM Sweeney85 on Twitter and Instagram. And you could follow Dave, who is in Japan. You can hear all about that next week. David PTDBT. You can check us out on TikTok at Markin Out to see David's adventures in Tokyo and Kyoto and Osaka. You can purchase some merchandise, ProWrestlingTees.com/MarkinOut. I didn't really do much this week. It was just a lot of pro wrestling. But before I move on to talk about pro wrestling, I wanted to mention the unfortunate passing of Rick Derringer, who passed away this week at the age of 77. He was a musician, producer, songwriter, most famously known to pro wrestling fans as the musician who co-wrote and performed Real American. It was originally used by the U.S. Express, but more famously, it was used by Hulk Hogan. It's still used to this day by Hulk Hogan. He produced and performed on the Wrestling album and Pile Driver, the Wrestling album 2. Demolition's theme song was on that. Fantastic theme song that he actually performed. Outside of pro wrestling, he first gained success as a member of the McCoys with their version of Hang On Sloopy. And another famous song of Rick's is Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. He would go on to work with Edgar and Johnny Winter and performed on their song Free Ride. He performed on songs with Todd Rundgren, Steely Dan, Alice Cooper, Kiss, Cyndi Lauper, Barbra Streisand, Weird Al. So many artists. He produced some of those albums, some of the Winter Brothers, and earlier, I think the first 6 Weird Al albums were produced by Rick Derringer. And he performed on those tracks like Eat It. And it's crazy that he did so much in the music industry, and I feel like people don't really know that. And I think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he's one of those artists who should have been inducted years ago. In the early days of our podcast, we reached out to Rick Derringer through YouTube, and he allowed us to play his music on our show. I would like to think it was actually Rick that was corresponding with us, so I'll never forget that. I thought that was really cool. I never got to see him perform live, but I always wanted to, because Hang On Sloopy is such a great song. And it definitely would have been really cool to hear Real American live. But I'd like to send my condolences to his family and his friends. Go listen to his music this weekend. Go celebrate Rick Derringer. Going to Saturday night's main event. Throughout the night, they showed a bunch of legends. U.S. Express was one of those teams that they showed. They had Jimmy Hart, Bushwhacker Luke, Vikingo was there also. Leilani Kai and Tatanka was there. It was really cool seeing Leilani Kai back in a WWE circle. But the first match saw Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker pick up the victory over Sami Zayn and CM Punk. Like last week, CM Punk was incredibly over here. It started off with Sami and Punk brawling with Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker. The referee had no control in that. He did once the actual match started, but the match, for me, was kind of mid. Paul Heyman got involved when the referee was distracted with that. You saw Bronson Reed return. He bodied CM Punk through the barricade, and then Bron Breakker speared Sami Zayn to win. And then Bronson Reed effectively joined the group. CM Punk tried to stupidly get at Paul Heyman, but Bronson Reed took him out. And I think that was, I think very unexpected to have opened a show like Saturday Night's Main Event with such a big addition like that with Bronson Reed. So I was very happy with that. You move on to Zelina Vega picking up the victory over Chelsea Green to retain the United States Championship. Fans were very behind Chelsea Green here. The match was pretty fast-paced. There were some bumps. You saw the Secret Hervis get involved, of course. But Zelina Vega ends up winning with the code red from the top rope, which I thought was an awesome move. You had John Cena pick up the victory over R-Truth. R-Truth came out with John Cena's theme song. He had his own John Cena-themed t-shirt, Ron Cena, which I can only assume will be a Persona card. Maybe not in WWE 2K25, but probably 2K26, maybe. We'll see. But R-Truth, John Cena hit his comeback. R-Truth wiggled out of the attitude adjustment, and then he went and did his own Cena comeback. He did the 5-knuckle shuffle. He actually hit the attitude adjustment on John Cena. He used the STF. John Cena got to the ropes. He grabbed the championship and hesitated, handed it to the referee, and of course, he low-blowed R-Truth, hit the attitude adjustment, got the victory. And then after the match, John Cena used the title. He knocked R-Truth out. He also had an interaction with Jey Uso backstage later on, where he tried to get into Jay's head. I'll put a pin in that. You had Damian Priest pick up the victory over Drew McIntyre in a steel cage match. Jesse Ventura did commentary for this. Probably the most controversial thing from Saturday Night's Main Event was Jesse Ventura, his commentary in general. I'm a fan of Jesse Ventura on commentary, though. And I kind of got my wish with Drew McIntyre bringing chairs into the cage. I think, given that this was supposed to be an end to their feud, I needed more from it. The chairs barely came into play. I did like Drew McIntyre hitting the South of Heaven, but he went to hit a Claymore into the chair. Damian Priest moved and used the chair. Then he hit another South of Heaven. He set Drew McIntyre on a chair and hit a concerto. It's a big spot given that he did that to take Edge out of the Judgment Day. And Jesse Ventura was not happy about Damian Priest using the door to leave the cage. But that concerto spot, I think, is something that's not being spoken about enough. You had the main event, Jey Uso pick up the victory over Logan Paul to retain the championship. Jey Uso reversed that buckshot with a super kick. I thought that was very nice. Earlier, Logan Paul ripped the middle turnbuckle pad off. And then later on in the match, he sent Jey Uso into it. He dropped Jey with a punch. Jey kicked out of that. He hit another super kick, an Uso splash. John Cena pulled up at the last minute, pulled the referee out of the ring, and he attacked Jey Uso. That led to Cody Rhodes making his return. He made the save for Jey Uso. Logan Paul went to hit Cody Rhodes with brass knuckles, but he moved. Jey Uso speared him, hit another Uso splash, and picked up the victory. There were a lot of commercial breaks during Saturday Night's Main Event. I don't know. I saw a percentage, which makes me question, because the percentage seemed low. It makes me then wonder how much commercials actually go into a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, because it doesn't feel like, hey, we're back from commercial break. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. It doesn't feel like that when we're watching Raw and SmackDown, so it would be nice if we got less ad breaks, I guess, for the next Saturday Night's Main Event. But a lot of people go into these events thinking like, oh, this is a pay-per-view. This is a premium live event. It's not. It's a TV special. A TV special is going to have ads. Moving over to Monday Night Raw, it opened with what I'm going to just say, the Dangerous Alliance. Michael Cole said, oh, what a dangerous coalition at Saturday Night's Main Event. Brother, coalition, alliance, it's the same word. But Paul Heyman put Braun Breaker over. He put Bronson Reed over. He mentioned how Bronson Reed targeted Seth Rollins all those weeks ago, those months ago, and put a beating on him that he had never felt before. And he points to that moment and gives us all the reason why Seth Rollins wanted Bronson Reed. Seth Rollins, in order to get that vision that he wants, he needs all of these elements. So there was confusion for people, but this is what I assumed from the start. I liked Paul Heyman saying acknowledge Seth Rollins here. And Seth basically said this is his vision for the future. He would be World Heavyweight Champion if it wasn't for Sami Zayn and CM Punk. And that CM Punk found out about the power of Bronson Reed. And then said Sami Zayn later on will find that out as well. Later on, Sami Zayn said that he should have gone out there to help Jey Uso. And Jey Uso questioned for what? For it to be 1-on-3? And he told him, go win the Money in the Bank. I have your back if they try anything. And then Karrion Kross spoke to Sami Zayn later also and told him he could have just taken the deal. He should have gone to SmackDown. He should have gotten that championship match. And he said that Sami Zayn isn't winning the title. Karrion Kross here got a good pop. I thought this was a good segment for Monday Night Raw. It was a quick passing segment. Scarlett on a ladder. I don't know if they're going to put Karrion Kross in the Money in the Bank or what, but I feel like if he goes in there, that's quite the favorite for the fans at least to get that victory. For the Money in the Bank qualifiers, you had Penta pick up the victory over Dragon Lee and Chad Gable to qualify. I figured Penta was winning this match because Chad Gable's booked for Worlds Collide and Dragon Lee's booked for Worlds Collide. You had Vikingo sitting ringside for this. Probably the most replayed clip from Monday Night Raw was that move. Penta did a Widow's Peak to Dragon Lee, and at the same time he hit a Tiger Driver 98 to Chad Gable. That was probably one of the craziest things that I've seen, at least recently in WWE. And Chad Gable, literally, he got right up and kept going. The referee went and checked on him right away. That was a scary spot, crazy spot. Dragon Lee also taking Penta out with that dive to the commentary table was a super crazy spot as well. Chad Gable attacked Vikingo. Vikingo got involved. When Chad Gable went for his moonsault to maybe pick up that win, Chad Gable got busted open off of that kick from Vikingo. And then Penta hit the Penta driver on him to pick up that victory. You had Rusev pick up the victory over Akira Tozawa. Do I say Akira Tozawa was kind of like Scrappy doing this? He got a few moves in, but you knew he wasn't lasting against Rusev. It was maybe a minute long. And after the match, Rusev held that accolade on and locked him in a sleeper. Sheamus made the save. And they stared each other down. Rusev left. In that moment, I was like, maybe we're going to see Sheamus hug him, turn heel. But I guess it's leading to Sheamus versus Rusev. You had New Day pick up the victory over the War Raiders and the Creeds to retain the tag team championships. You had Waka Flocka Flame sitting ringside. Burt Kreischer was there. Tom Segura was ringside. Which that clip of Dragon Lee diving to the outside, Tom was like unbelievably, looked like he was nervous that he was about to get hit too. But yeah, he's one of those guys that spoke so much trash about pro wrestling who's never experienced pro wrestling. So to see that sort of reaction, it's nice to see that because it's a complete 180. But this match, it had a very chaotic start even before it started. And then honestly, once the match started, it was also pretty chaotic. Not a lot of control from the referee. That the springboard Brutus ball I thought was cool. But New Day ultimately retains the titles. Jey Uso came out. Gunther interrupted him before he could say much. And he congratulated Jey and said that he's been holding the title a lot longer than he expected. And he can see Jay wants to be the captain of Monday Night Raw, but he's just not. He said being a great champion doesn't mean you're there for everyone else. So I like that he's still cutting Jey Uso down. And he ultimately said that he's going to choke Jey Uso out and take the title back. Jay said that he's done with everyone saying that his days as champion are numbered, underestimating him and everything. And Jay said that Gunther is fighting less for what he's fighting for. He's fighting for the fans. And at the end of the day, it's the fan support that's going to help him retain that championship. And he's going to make Gunther tap out again. It has to probably set up where Jey Uso retains the championship. Gunther and Goldberg. Goldberg probably helps Jey Uso win. I know I said that a few weeks ago. I think it has to happen. Earlier in the night, Liv Morgan had returned as Roxanne Perez was massaging Dominic Mysterio, which Finn Balor's reaction to I thought was hilarious. That whole segment with Finn Balor was absolutely hilarious. She and Raquel Rodriguez ran into Io Sky and Kairi Sane. Liv Morgan made fun of Damage Control, and it led to Kairi challenging Liv Morgan for a match. And then later on, we saw Kairi pick up the victory over Liv Morgan. It was a very fiery match, a lot of hard-hitting spots. Liv Morgan hit that middle rope code breaker, and Kairi kicked out at the very, very last second. Liv ends up holding onto the rope to block Kairi holds onto the rope to block Oblivion. She went for the insane elbow. Roxanne Perez showed up. Raquel Rodriguez immediately started arguing with the referee. Roxanne Perez pushed Kairi off the top rope. And then Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez started arguing with one another, which was very odd. And that distracted Liv Morgan. Kairi held on for another Oblivion attempt and then pinned Liv Morgan to win. That Raquel spot didn't make sense to me because she got up on the apron. How is that not planned between the two of them, that just so happens she gets up on the apron and Roxanne is there? I didn't get that. But the Judgment Day all spoke backstage afterwards. Liv Morgan walked off disappointed after telling Raquel that she was the veteran in that situation. She should have known better. And really, that spot after the distraction with Raquel arguing, it made Raquel look kind of dumb. So in the sense there where Liv Morgan's saying she's the veteran, she should have known better, well, maybe she should have. It'll be interesting to see where they go with this. Maybe we see Liv Morgan accept Roxanne and have her defend the titles with her. Maybe it's Raquel playing Liv Morgan and they kick Liv Morgan out. I have no idea. Very interesting to see where it goes. After that, you had Lyra Valkyria come out. She spoke about Becky Lynch and how Becky talked her way into another title match at Money in the Bank. And she accepted the match because she didn't feel any satisfaction after beating Becky Lynch twice. And Becky Lynch eventually showed up, yelled at Lyra because she cost her a chance at the Money in the Bank. And then she said that Lyra could have just let it go, but she couldn't. And Becky said that if Lyra can beat her, she'll never challenge her for the title again. But when Becky Lynch wins, Lyra has to raise her arm. In a perfect world, Lyra is winning that match. But deep down, can I believe that? I don't know. But it was good back and forth between Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. In the main event, we saw Seth Rollins pick up the victory over Finn Balor and Sami Zayn to qualify for the Money in the Bank. I felt like by default, the only person who should have won this match, even though they weren't built up or anything, would have been Finn Balor. Should have been Finn Balor. Sami and Seth, they have their own story going on. The match, I think, was fine. I thought it was nice to see Sami Zayn do a tribute to Sabu. When Sami Zayn hit that superplex on Finn Balor, I thought Finn Balor was about to reverse that. They took a long time to do it, but I guess maybe it was because Seth Rollins had to get in position for that frog splash, but it was a good spot. Seth Rollins got Finn Balor to team up with him a bit to take Sami Zayn out. Sami fought them both off. I like Seth Rollins getting out of the first Blue Thunder Bomb, which goes to almost set up a stomp, but Sami turned that into a Blue Thunder Bomb. I thought that was a nice spot. Finn Balor missed the coup de grace. Seth Rollins stomped him. Then Sami hit a haluva kick on Seth Rollins, but Braun Breaker pulled Sami Zayn out of the ring, which Jey Uso showed up to fight with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Unfortunately for Jey Uso, he got speared. Dominic Mysterio showed up. He slid a chair into the ring, which Seth Rollins ended up stomping Finn Balor onto to get that victory. And then CM Punk showed up and attacked Seth Rollins from behind. It was a good finish to Monday Night Raw. Moving back to Battleground, Sol Ruka picked up the victory over Kalani Jordan to retain the North American Championship. This was an incredibly fun match. That transition into the STF from Sol Ruka, I thought was a very nice transition. Sol Ruka hit a top rope X Factor. The handspring moonsault out of the ring was great. Ultimately, Sol Ruka's amazing. Kalani Jordan's great too. She went for a poison rana. Sol Ruka landed on her feet. Kalani went for that split-legged moonsault. Zarya moved Sol out of the way, so the referee kicked her from ringside. But Kalani Jordan reverses a Soul Snatcher, but Sol Ruka hits a 450 Soul Snatcher from the top rope, picks up that win. Very, very good match. You had Josh Briggs, Hank and Tank pick up the victory over the Culling. Hank and Tank and Josh Briggs were explosive in this match. The ref had a bit of a hard time controlling them. Nothing terrible. That Dominator double stomp from Nico and Jensen I thought was cool. Izzy Dame got involved, but Josh Briggs kicked out of it. He hit that clothesline on Brooks Jensen, tagged in Hank, who tagged in Tank. They did their moves, picked up the victory. And then the Culling attacked them after the match. Inamura made the save. He was supposed to be back in Japan. He was there, made the save. That was awesome. That was a great spot. You had Stax pick up the victory over Tony D'Angelo to become the Don, I guess. This was a super tough match to call. I think I wanted more of a fight-like match than this was. But at one point, Tony was pummeling Stax and he stopped. And you could see him feeling torn in doing that. And Stax called him weak for that. He went looking for his crowbar. It was missing. I guess Tony got to it. Tony got the upper hand from there. And Stax, at one point, he begged Tony, saying, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. But Tony hit him with that spine buster. Luca Crucifino showed up. And off of that, Stax low blowed Tony. And he hit him with that running knee to the back of the head to pick up the victory. Also, after the match, Luca went to hug Tony D'Angelo. Tony pushed him away, and on NXT, Tony and Luca spoke. Tony asked Luca why he didn't reach out to him. Luca basically said he didn't want to put anyone at risk. Tony doesn't trust him. I don't know where they go from there, but we'll see. I was hoping the Mama Lukes would show up. My fingers are still crossed. I'd pop big time to see Big Vito. We had Stephanie Vicaire pick up the victory over Jordan Grace to retain. You had Chick Tormenta, Dallas were ringside for this. Dallas and Vicaire used to team in CMLL, and they didn't mention that at all, which I assume because of CMLL being part of it. But Vicaire, incredibly over. And this was a very good match. The fans went absolutely nuts when Vicaire was able to hit the Devil's Kiss. That superplex jackhammer spot from Jordan Grace was very nice. I don't think that barricade spot, that's the only spot I would have taken out from this match. I don't think it was needed because we saw something similar the night before on Saturday night's main event with Bronson Reed and CM Punk. But from outside of that, we saw Stephanie Vicaire hit the SVB. Jordan Grace kicked out of that. And then Stephanie Vicaire hit the spiral tap to get the victory. Great match. And then later on, Stephanie Vaquer was yelling at Chick Tormenta, and Dallas, Jacy Jayne showed up out of nowhere, slapped Stephanie Vaquer, and that sets up a title match for NXT, which I'll put a pin in. You had Obafemi pick up the victory over Miles Bourne to retain the NXT Championship. I don't know what I expected from this match, and it wasn't bad, but I wasn't fully into it. I think Miles Bourne made a very great underdog, but maybe because deep down I knew he wasn't winning, it affected how I felt about the actual match. But Obafemi had to hit a trio of power bombs to pick up the victory. It definitely, I think, took Miles Bourne to another level. And on NXT, I don't know what exactly happened. Miles Bourne, I guess, wants out of No Quarter Catch Crew. So Charlie Dempsey said, let's have a match for that next week and make it a rounds match. I don't know if I would take Miles Bourne out of No Quarter Catch Crew. I don't know. I don't want to see No Quarter Catch Crew split up. So I don't know what's going to be the outcome of that. Earlier in the night, Mike Santana was interviewed, and he said he wants the winner of Joe Hendry versus Trick Williams. No Quarter Catch Crew interrupted that, and Charlie Dempsey was rude to him. Tavion Heights was not rude to him, but still got himself a match with Santana for Tuesday. Put a pin in that. Big pop for Santana being there. Main event, Trick Williams picked up the victory over Joe Hendry to become the new TNA champion. And it's wild that stuff like this happens on WWE programming. This was a good match. Very, very hot main event. The Spinneroonie spot I thought was great. With the facials from Trick Williams to Booker T. Only for him to turn around and do a rock bottom from Joe Hendry. Hendry, at one point, seemed like he messed up his knee. And the referee checked on him. He kept going. And you could see him limping, but I guess maybe it was just selling. He eventually hit his choke slam. Trick got his foot on the rope. He got Joe Hendry through the commentary table with a bookend. He hit the Trick shot. Joe Hendry kicked out of that. Trick went to use the title. And Joe Hendry rolled him up. And I thought maybe that was about to be it. He went for the standing O. And Trick Williams thumbed him in the eye. The referee couldn't see it. He hit a flapjack onto the title, hit the Trick shot, and won the match. Very, very, very surprising finish. Moving over to NXT, it opened up with Ethan Page picking up the victory over Ricky Saints to become the new North American champion. Ava said whoever wins this is going to a match to Worlds Collide to defend it. Ricky Saints was interviewed at Battleground, and I thought someone from AAA was going to maybe show up and attack him. It was Ethan Page that attacked him. And Ava, she needed this match to be like the end-all, be-all. They brawled before this match started. Security got involved. And then they brawled outside during the match. Security stepped in. And Ava came out. She's like, we need the clear-cut winner. So referee, I guess, using extreme ref's discretion. This got brutal. That chair exploded over Ricky Saints' neck from that twist of fate. This match was crazy. And Ethan Page eventually hit a twist of fate again. I was not expecting that outcome. And then later on, Ethan Page came out to celebrate. Javon Evans interrupted and announced that at Worlds Collide, Ethan Page is facing him, but not just him. It's also Laredo Kid and Phoenix. So I'm definitely looking forward to that match. I'm very much so looking forward to Worlds Collide. It's awesome to see Laredo Kid on TV like that. And then next match, you had Santana pick up the victory over Tavion Heights. And it's so surreal seeing Santana on WWE programming. Because I put him up there with the Lucha Bros and Motor City Machine Guns for, I guess, things that I never thought I'd see happen. I thought this was a good showcase match for Santana. It was a great match for Tavion Heights, too. Even though the outcome was obvious, they put on a very entertaining match. And Mike Santana won with that discus clothesline, and he showed respect for Tavion Heights afterwards. Charlie Dempsey in the background not happy about it. You saw Trick Williams come out, tear down the NXT crowd for singing along to Joe Hendry's theme all along. And the crowd quickly flipped, those fickle freaks. And he said that none of the former champions, who he listed some, AJ Styles, Kurt Angle, etc., none of them can compare to him. And he spoke about renaming TNA, and then Mike Santana came out, gave him props for winning. And Trick said that Santana ultimately made a mistake by interrupting him. And Santana said that the last thing he's going to do is sit by while Trick Williams tears down TNA. And Trick said that when Santana carries the championship, he can start calling the shots. Santana called Trick Williams a pretender and said that he's going to be the one that takes that title from him. And Santino showed up on the screen, said that he already spoke to Ava, and that match is set for next week. It led to a scuffle, but we have for the TNA Championship on NXT next week, Trick Williams versus Mike Santana. I don't see Mike Santana winning the title then, but I think Mike Santana will, at least by the end of this summer, will be carrying that championship for TNA. Jada Parker picked up the victory over Tatum Paxley. I hate seeing Tatum come out with those Shotzi and Gigi Dolan dolls because, like I said the other week, they were released. And I really wish that wasn't the case. It's like it pulls at your heartstrings seeing that. I like that she's doing that though. But Jada ended up throwing the Gigi doll into the ring. Jada used that as a distraction to hit the hypnotic on Tatum Paxley at the victory. Thea Hale pulled up afterwards and attacked Jada Parker. You had Sol Ruca and Zarya speak to Tatum Paxley later on and basically said that they're there for her if she needs anything. The culling was in the background lurking. I don't know if that's going to lead to, I guess maybe them trying to pull her into the culling, and then maybe we'll see Tatum Paxley and Izzy Dame form a team. I have no idea. You had the LFG Season 1 winner, Jasper Troy, pick up the victory over Dante Chen. It's always nice to see Dante Chen. But you knew there was no way he was winning this match. Not completely one-sided, but you knew that Jasper Troy was walking out as the victor. Obafemi came out afterwards, and he told Jasper Troy that he hopes that Jasper enjoyed his 5 seconds. He could have easily done what Jasper Troy did to him, but he chose to be the bigger person and not do that. So when that match is happening, I don't know, but we'll see. And then maybe the most shocking thing in WWE this week, Jacy Jayne picked up the victory over Stephanie Vicaire to become the new women's champion. Jasmine Nix was back with Fatal Influence. Jacy started this match right away. You saw Chick Tormenta and Dallas show up, distract Stephanie Vicaire. Lola Vice, who volunteered as a partner for Stephanie Vicaire for Worlds Collide, showed up to brawl with them to the back. It was a temporary distraction for Stephanie Vicaire, and Vicaire kept going. But ultimately, Fallon Henley caused a distraction. She and Jacy started arguing. You're like, that's the end of Fatal Influence, maybe. Jasmine Nix tried to get them to stop. They both shoved her to the ground. And it's like, you think it's smooth sailing from there. Stephanie Vicaire takes Fallon out. She takes Jacy Jayne out. Jasmine Nix distracted the referee again. Fallon Henley, around the ring post, hit a 619 to Stephanie Vicaire. And then Jacy Jayne hits her finish and wins the championship, which was truly, truly shocking. She hit one of the craziest slaps on Stephanie Vaquer at Battleground, and then shocked everybody by winning that title. No, I don't think anybody would have predicted that at all. But that, I can only assume this means we're seeing, with that Ethan Page match, we're going to be seeing Ricky Saints come up to Raw or SmackDown. It's already been confirmed that Stephanie Vaquer is going to be on Monday Night Raw. And with Jordynne Grace not being the person that dethroned Stephanie Vaquer, I have to assume maybe she's going to Raw or SmackDown. Part of me is very jealous of everybody that's gotten to see these years of NXT that I have not seen. And I really wish I could have gotten to an NXT show to see somebody like Julia, somebody like Stephanie Vaquer. Now it's main roster stuff, but I wish that there was more I was able to see live. But I'm very happy to see Jacy Jayne win that championship. It's been years in the making, and I'm more than happy to see her carry the NXT brand. That is NXT. Moving over to SmackDown. It opened up with Bianca Belair with a homecoming for her. And she said that she's not 100% yet, but she's doing all she can to get back. Naomi interrupted. Heavily booed. Heavily booed. All she wanted to do was talk to Bianca Belair about what happened. She wanted forgiveness. She said that she went to Bianca Belair's parents' house and nobody was there, so she let herself in and saw a photo album of Bianca Belair and I guess better times where Bianca was smiling, and she wanted that. And it's really funny that Naomi just openly admitted to doing that. I thought we were going to see footage of that, but Bianca Belair said that she betrayed her trust. She's done with her. And honestly, this segment, Naomi is so good at this. We saw this recently in the past, but recently Naomi again with real tears. And then she completely flipped and threatened Bianca Belair. Jade Cargill showed up and they brawled. There was a strong stare down between Jade and Bianca too. And then Nia Jax came out for the match. Naomi picked up the victory over Jade Cargill and Nia Jax to qualify for the Money in the Bank. I was hoping Naomi would win, so I was more than happy that this was the outcome. This match, a bit slow. I like Naomi reversing the pop-up Samoan drop with the crucifix bomb. And the ending also had a crucifix involved where Jade Cargill got nailed with the Annihilator. When Naomi was laid out on Jade Cargill, I feel like the referee could have been counting there, but Nia Jax was going for an Annihilator on both of them. Naomi got up at the last second. She dropped it on Jade Cargill. And then Naomi, with that crucifix, rolled up Nia Jax to get the spot. And then backstage, Naomi threatened Tiffany Stratton. Alexa Bliss showed up after Naomi left and said that it's not her that you should be worried about. It's me. We saw Jeff Cobb pick up the victory over R-Truth. This stemmed from a backstage segment with Little Jimmy, actually. And I know, as far as this match goes, I know that John Cena's match at Saturday night's main event was about 4 minutes or so. I'm very torn on whether or not I wanted this match to be under a minute. It was a fun match. I liked all the stuff that R-Truth got to get in, but I feel like Jeff Cobb should be built up as a monster. Maybe they're keeping him down to not be on that same exact level as Jacob Fatu, but I feel like that should have been a very quick match. And they continued the attack afterwards. Jimmy Uso made the save. Jeff Cobb ended up attacking Jimmy, which Solo was not pleased with. He didn't want that to happen, and I think that's an interesting aspect to it, where I guess maybe he doesn't necessarily have control over Jeff Cobb, but he also still wants Jimmy back with the bloodline. Yeah, the Street Profits come out, and they said that they'll happily defend the titles against everybody. Fraxium showed up, and they said that they deserve a fair shot. Last week, it was interrupted. Montez Ford said up until the Wyatt Six showed up, it seemed like they had them beat. So it didn't seem like Fraxium was walking out with the championships. But then Nathan Fraser pitched them doing another match. Motor City Machine Guns interrupted and said that the Profits also never beat them. So if that's the card that Fraxium is trying to play, then they'll play it too. And then DIY showed up. Candice LeRae spoke on behalf of DIY. I like that. I feel like we have not had that ever. I don't know. I can't think of a time where it was Candice LeRae talking for anybody else but herself. Well, I mean, outside of the stuff that we saw with Nia Jax, but not in that same capacity. And DIY, Ciampa tried to do like a moment of silence for the tag division that every team inside the ring ruined. And that's when the Wyatt Six showed up again. And there was a video later on, and Uncle Howdy said that they won't stop until they get what's owed. I don't know what's owed, but we'll see what happens with that. After that, we had Los Garza pick up the victory over Fenix and Javon Evans. Very cool to see this match. Ethan Page, the North American champion, sat on commentary. I thought he did a fantastic job on commentary. Javon Evans was very impressive in this match. Ethan Page at one point threw Rey Fenix into Javon Evans and then took Fenix out of the match. And then Javon took Ethan Page out and he got back into the ring. Almost won. But Santos Escobar then caused a distraction. Ethan Page pushed Javon off the top rope. And then Los Garza was able to hit their finisher to pick up that win. You had Zelina Vega pick up the victory over Alba Fire. This stemmed from a backstage segment. Chelsea Green now has to wear a mask because of the broken nose from Saturday night's main event. And she got involved at one point to distract the referee. Piper ends up tripping Zelina Vega. And I really wish that we could stop getting so much outside interference. It's like something I'm almost saying weekly now at this point, especially WWE. Like AEW used to do it every single freaking match. They've cut back a bit. They started to do it more at this point, but WWE, it's like every freaking match. That has to stop. That really has to stop. But Zelina Vega missed a moonsault. Alba Fire hit a swanton, and Zelina Vega kicked out. Later, Chelsea Green tried to use her mask, and Zelina Vega ducked it, so Chelsea Green accidentally hit Piper Niven with it. Not so long after that, there was a code red to Alba Fire for Zelina Vega to get that victory. And backstage, Julia spoke to Zelina Vega. Maybe that's a match at Evolution coming up. It would be nice to see Julia as champion. I'm not a big fan of short title reigns, but I would be all for Julia taking that championship right now from Zelina Vega. After that, Damian Priest came out and he spoke about his feud with Drew McIntyre. He said that he has unfinished business with Jacob Fatu. And he said that he respects him, but he doesn't respect his crew. Jacob Fatu came out for his match, and as Damian Priest was leaving, they had a stare down with one another. I'm sure there's somewhere down the line there's going to be a pin put into that. But you had the main event. Andrade picked up the victory over Carmelo Hayes and Jacob Fatu to qualify for the Money in the Bank ladder match. Earlier, Carmelo Hayes and The Miz spoke. And Carmelo, I guess, put everything that The Miz was saying out the window and basically said that he's the reason why he's in that spot and not The Miz. He did say he was going to go out there and follow the plan, but he lost. And as far as Jacob Fatu being in this match, I don't like champions being in matches to qualify for another title, or an opportunity, I should say. But The Miz did get involved a few times. Jacob Fatu ends up taking him out. Andrade, he hit that reverse Spanish fly to Carmelo Hayes. I feel like we haven't seen that in a while. That's always a dope move to see. Jacob Fatu, though, at one point, had Andrade and Carmelo Hayes both sat ringside by that barricade. He went to hit the running hip attack, and both of them jumped out of the way. He flew through the barricade, and I thought that was going to be the end of the match for him. And then he ended up coming back into the match and threw both of them off the top rope to cause a Spanish fly. And then Solo Sikoa and Jeff Cobb made their way out. Solo got up on the apron to try to make Jacob Fatu do another moonsault. Jeff Cobb then also did that. And that pissed Jacob Fatu off. Jimmy ends up getting involved. Andrade hits the message and picks up the victory. Maybe unexpected. He wasn't booked for Worlds Collide, so I had a thought that maybe he would be in this match, and I'm very happy that he's in this match. Jacob Fatu afterwards told Solo Sikoa he does not need Solo Sikoa, just to remind Solo Sikoa. So, to close SmackDown, Cody Rhodes came out, and he said that he's had some doubts, and he asked a friend if he was a good champion. Seemed long-winded, but the friend said yes. And Cody said that he thought about AJ Styles faking a retirement to get one up on him. He thought about Kevin Owens, his best friend, Kevin Owens. He thought about Triple H, The Rock, John Cena. And he said that if John Cena does ruin pro wrestling, then he's partially to blame because of that hesitation. And with John Cena, he's never going to hesitate again. And then Cody said that he has a surprise for everybody. The fans seemed to already know what was happening. They were heating. Jey Uso came out. Then John Cena came out, called both of them wannabes. And then he had Logan Paul come out. John Cena put Logan Paul over. I think Logan Paul cut one hell of a promo. And he said that he should be standing there next to the WWE Champion as World Heavyweight Champion. But Cody Rhodes got involved. They had to cheat. It ended where they were about to brawl. John Cena seemed like he was about to leave. He didn't want to. And Logan Paul pushed him to try to get him to join with him to do it. That caused tension between the two of them. And then that led to Cody Rhodes leaving or saying a joke. And that set John Cena off. That started the brawl. But Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso ended things on top. Good ending to SmackDown. Overall, you had typically a 3-hour SmackDown, I would say, drags. I enjoyed this full episode of SmackDown. I don't want 3-hour episodes of SmackDown, though. But that is SmackDown. I'm going to take a quick little break, and I'll be right back here on Markin Out.
This is Amazing Kong, and you're listening to Markin Out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Markin Out, episode 747. Double or Nothing took place this past weekend at Desert Diamond Arena in Glendale, Arizona. You had 2 kickoff show matches. You had Anna Jay and Harley Cameron pick up the victory over Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. I, by the way, did not watch Double or Nothing. You had Bandito, AR Fox, Commander, and Hologram pick up the victory over RPG, Vice, and Crew. I would still like to know why they changed it from Roppongi. And then the actual show kicked off. You had Mercedes Moné pick up the victory over Jamie Hayter to win the Owen Hart tournament. I'm kind of happy that happened. It's unfortunate for Jamie Hayter, but whatever. You had FTR pick up the victory over Daniel Garcia and Nigel McGuinness. I think the writing was on the wall with that one. Ricochet picked up the victory over Mark Briscoe in a stretcher match. In what world was Mark Briscoe winning that? The Hurt Business picked up the victory over the Sons of Texas to retain the tag team championships. I feel like that shouldn't have even been a match. Okada retained the championship over Speedball Mike Bailey. Tony Storm picked up the victory over Mina Shirakawa to retain the championship. Team AEW defeated the Death Riders and the Young Bucks in Anarchy in the Arena. And fans, this went viral all over social media, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. It might have been maybe the most fun an Anarchy in the Arena matches ever looked. They played Bodies by Drowning Pool the whole match, from what I understand, which is the old ECW theme song. So right away, I think that's awesome to go and listen to. But it just seemed like fun. The crowd was having a blast. So, which is very shocking to me because every other Anarchy in the Arena match that I've watched, like I've not seen this one, but every one that I've watched, I've been super bored with. I mean, the first one had its moments, but just based off the energy alone, it seemed fun. And then you go to the Don Callis family picking up the victory over Paragon. That was a surprising win to me. I thought we were going to see Paragon beat them, but then it led to a match for Dynamite, which I'll talk about in a moment. And then the main event saw Hangman Adam Page beat Will Ospreay to win the Owen Hart tournament. I got my wish out of that match. There were some great clips that went all over social media with this match too, and it looked like a great match. The episode of Dynamite that followed it opened with Hangman Adam Page being interviewed, where he thanked Will Ospreay for the match, and he spoke about the AEW Championship and said that pretty much the exact same thing that we've heard everyone else say about the AEW Championship. It's been locked away for months. We've not seen it for months. And he yelled about it. He was very fired up about it. Swerve showed up, and he played a video from a bunch of weeks ago of the Young Bucks saying that they cost Swerve his match because of Hangman. And then he asked Hangman if he had them do it. After everything that the Young Bucks have done this year, how can Swerve be that stupid to believe that? He said that he wanted to cost Swerve. He said if he wanted to cost Swerve the match, he would have done it himself. And then Will Ospreay showed up to get in between them, and said that Swerve's wrong. He's being in the ring with Hangman. He knows that it wasn't Hangman. Out of this whole segment, I don't know why they would have made Swerve look so stupid. Even, I mean, people were like, oh, well, they've been through so much together. He burnt down his house. Swerve was like, I know I deserve it. If Swerve never said, I know I deserve it, then maybe you would have a reason as to why he could possibly think the Young Bucks and Hangman were in on that together. To wait weeks to question him about it, I don't get it. But knowing everything, you're seeing everything. You just literally were in Anarchy in the Arena with the Young Bucks, seeing all of what they've done this past year. To question him over that, you look stupid. So I thought, I don't understand that at all. But Swerve, Will Ospreay said that the three of them should work together in order to have Hangman be the one to beat Mox. And Swerve slapped the microphone out of Will Ospreay's hand and said he's not going to trust Hangman. You had the Death Riders and Gabe Kidd pick up the victory over Mark Briscoe, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Willow Nightingale. Mark Briscoe did a tribute to Sabu in this match, but Wheeler Yuta got involved and threw Speedball Mike Bailey from the top rope. Gabe Kidd put him through a table. Claudio got involved. The referee literally couldn't care less that people were getting involved. Commander took Claudio out. And then John Moxley was able to choke Mark Briscoe out while the others were also put in submissions. I think Mark Briscoe is a serious MVP of AEW, and I don't think Mark Briscoe gets the recognition that he deserves. After that, Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford picked up the victory over Anna Jay and Harley Cameron in a no DQ match. I don't know why this match took place, given the match that happened at Double or Nothing, but everyone online seems to think they're introducing women's tag team championships soon, which they might be, and I think it would be great, but they don't have their singles division under control. They book one women's match per show, and on rare occasions when they do more than one women's match, it's one meaningful match with storyline and then one random meaningless match. This, I think the women normally in matches like this do very well. This was a bit clunky for me. At one point, Megan Bayne sent Harley Cameron into the steel steps, and they called for a medic. She was busted open. When they have spots like that with the towel immediately in their hand, or I should say with the towel in their hand before we see blood, I don't buy it that that's a real injury. If it was a real injury, that really sucks, and I hope she's fine, but I'm leaning more towards I don't believe that that was an injury. Anna Jay also had blood on her randomly. I don't know if she got injured or not, but with Harley Cameron, I really don't think that was real. Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford did a doomsday device to win the match. Ford completely missed the clothesline, so it was really just like an electric chair drop. But that was that match. You had the Ops pick up the victory of the Frat House, which it kind of felt like when the Dark Order, the very, very first time on that I think it was Double or Nothing in 2019 when they closed the show with the Dark Order and people were like, who is this? That's what this felt like to me. The promo beforehand, I think, is ridiculous. This not being 1 minute was ridiculous. But the Ops won. Jamie Hayter was interviewed, and I was fully prepared for that to have been the Mercedes Moné and Toni Storm segment. Not Jamie Hayter. But before she could say anything, the lights go out, and when they came back on, Tekla debuted. And she took Jamie Hayter out. I'm not really familiar with her. I've seen her name on Twitter. I've seen clips of her on Twitter. I know that when she was rumored to maybe be going to WWE as a free agent, the AEW fans were like, oh, I hope she goes to WWE because she sucks. And then once it was confirmed that she's coming to AEW, they were like, oh, she's awesome. She's the best. So, bit of a flip-floppy audience there. But out of this segment, I think Jamie Hayter just continues to look like trash. And this really, it could be traced back to her after being out from that injury for as long as she was out. And you bring her back on a kickoff show. And then, like I said the other week, you've done nothing with her. She made it to the finals of the Owen, but you really ultimately did nothing with her. So, I understand when people say or complain about Jamie Hayter's booking. I completely get it. People are like, oh, she's going to be fine. She's going to be fine. She returned when? And it's May. And she's done nothing. It's start, stop, start, stop. You had Adam Cole pick up the victory over Kyle Fletcher via disqualification, so Adam Cole retains the championship. Roppongi Vice showed up, and Paragon brawled with them to the back. This match was fast-paced. It seemed like it was going great, and then Josh Alexander attacked Adam Cole to cause that disqualification. Brody King made his way out with the chair to somewhat make the save. The power bomb, by the way, in this match onto the apron, that it missed the apron, looked awful. I don't know if Adam Cole was hurt or not, but I assume not. I feel like that would have come out. You had Brody King after that pick up the victory over Josh Alexander to qualify for a match at Fyter Fest. I think to face Kenny Omega in a Fatal 4-Way. I didn't care about this match. I didn't see the logic of Josh Alexander interrupted Adam Cole's match. Why wouldn't Adam Cole interrupt this match? Why wouldn't Paragon interrupt this match? I didn't get that. Instead, Adam Cole attacked Kyle Fletcher afterwards. Josh Alexander got busted open during this match. That was a crazy spot also. I mean, not spot, but him getting busted open like that. And this was a surprising win. I was not expecting Brody King to pick up that victory. And then to close AEW Dynamite, you had Mercedes Moné and Toni Storm. I didn't care for this segment. I like that the women's champion and the TBS champion have TV time. I don't like that they're in a feud together, because to me it holds the division up. I did like Tony's line where she said Mercedes wants all the titles, but she only needs one, alluding to the AEW Women's Championship. And as much as I hate everything about Timeless Tony Storm's character, I think Tony Storm has the ability to put on an absolutely killer match at AEW All In Texas with Mercedes Moné. People are saying that should be the main event. I would much rather see that be the main event than Jon Moxley versus Hangman. So we'll see what happens with that. They have quite a ways off still, maybe a month or so, month and a half. I don't know what more they can do to build that up. So we'll see. That's AEW Dynamite. Hey, Brandon, got any shout-outs?
Hey there, Hef. We should listen to Brandon's shout-outs.
My first shout-out goes to Novocaine. Did you see this trailer? Dave's here, by the way. All the way
yes, it is such an honor to be here. I'm exhausted right now. Exhausted. I can't even tell you what time it is.
But you did see this, right? Or you saw the trailer for it?
Yes, I did see the trailer. I didn't see the actual movie.
This was another one of those movies that had a really good trailer that drew me in. But this time, no offense to that Love Hurts movie, this movie was actually enjoyable.
Oh.
Yeah, you have Jack Quaid starring in it as a bank employee who has a disorder of his nervous system that makes it so that he can't feel pain. And another employee of the bank who he has a crush on ends up being taken hostage. And he goes out to get her back, and there were some twists and turns that I wasn't expecting. And overall, I thought this was a good action comedy film.
Mm-hmm.
It's streaming out on, I believe it's out on Paramount Plus. So check that out.
It did look good.
Yeah, I 100% would recommend this movie.
It's based off a graphic novel, I think.
Is it?
I think it's based off a graphic novel. I'm not sure,
That's
but I think it is.
My next shout out goes to Overcompensating, which is a new comedy drama series that was released on Amazon Prime the other week. It's based on the creator Benito Skinner's real college experience as a closeted freshman who was a former high school football star, and he becomes friends with a freshman girl played by Wally Barham, who is ultimately really also just trying to fit in. And you have cameos from Charlie XCX, Megan Fox, actual roles. You have Andrea Martin, Bowen Yang, James Vanderbeek, Kyle MacLachlan, Connie Britton. Didi Khan was also on that show. I thought that was cool to see her there. This is a Jonah Hill executive produced project, and honestly, this is closer to what Summer of '69 should have been, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
This was a better project in that genre of TV movie.
I'm not too familiar with it.
My last thing, this is, I guess, kind of an anti-shout-out sort of situation.
Oh, crap.
There's a show Mobland. You hear about this?
Is it good?
It started
You're saying that it's an anti-shout-out, so I'm going to assume that I shouldn't watch it now.
It started in March, and it ends soon, but it was just boring. This was one of those projects. The trailer looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's two London crime families that are doing mob things. You got Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren is in the cast, and a bunch of others. It's executive produced by Guy Ritchie, who's done a bunch of movies in this genre. So I expected a lot more. There are some people online who are like, this is the greatest show ever, and some people are like, how is this a Guy Ritchie project? To me, it's just kind of empty. And the trailer, the trailer hooks you 100%. The trailer hooked me. This, I felt like I wasted my time on.
Well, I guess that means I'm not doing it.
Yeah. So if you care to, it's out on Paramount Plus, I believe. So check that out, maybe. But those are my shout-outs. Dave is going back to Japan, and it's time for our
Mark Out Moment of the Week.
That is right, our Mark Out Moment of the Week. Honestly, WWE announcing Vikingo versus Chad Gable, that popped me big time. They also eventually put up the graphic saying that it's for the AAA Mega Championship, which neither of them are the AAA Mega Champion yet. I guess maybe by the time this airs, there will be a new Mega Champion. But so I can only imagine that Chad Gable's walking out beating Vikingo for that title. And then the video that AJ Styles narrated for the TNA Championship that aired before Battleground, I thought was awesome. I found it weird that they didn't use more WWE guys like Mick Foley, Rob Van Dam, Jeff Hardy, Bobby Roode even. But it was just awesome seeing that, hearing that video, and knowing that they're able to have that connection now that they have that working relationship with TNA. And then speaking of TNA, seeing Santana on WWE this week was amazing. Like I said before, I hold him in that same boat as Motor City Machine Guns, Penta, Phoenix, as somebody that I've never ever in a million years, because of how much they've done outside of WWE, it never seemed like they were making their way to WWE. And it's awesome to see that. So those are my mark out moments of the week. That is episode 747. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Markin Out, at BTTG161 on all platforms. Chris Sweendog, CM Sweeney85, David PTDPT, Facebook.com/Markin Out. You could listen to us on YouTube and Instagram, Markin Out 11. Buy some merch, ProWrestlingTees.com/Markin Out. At Markin Out on TikTok. Like I said, you could see Dave's adventures in Japan there. Rate, review, subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, markinout.com. We wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. Have a fantastic week. Oh.